Younger in the building and that. What do you say, Younger? How you doing, man?
Jeez, it's been a long time. It's been a long time, man. Last time when I was on the podcast.
Oh
Yeah. And you were still rocking that burner for.
Oh yeah.
You remember the Alcatel?
Yeah.
I thought, what you look? This is a setup. I mean,
Got you inside the band.
yeah.
Hey, listen, that could be looking like a low-key backwards on the slide.
Jesus.
You don't know what that is.
I was thinking, I'm a professional. This is different.
Oh yeah, when you say that, actually tell us again.
Yeah.
No, but you know, we've got to start with obviously young Carl. Some people might claim that he's the king of grime. Now, obviously,
Original Grime.
you heard Chip used to say he's the grime scene savior. So what, young Carl, are you willing to claim that you're the king of grime, Carl?
No. I've never claimed to be the king. I just call myself. I'm the original grime kid. So for me, like that whole like moniker comes from the idea that I'm one of like the few grime artists in this generation who blend like the old school generation with the new school generation. Like I'm one of that the last of that breed kind of thing. So obviously there's like you got the first generation of grime MCs like the Wileys, Skeptors, etc. DWE. Then you got the second generation who are like the Chipmunks. Then third generation is basically my generation. So people who are kind of like sort of Stormzy age, around that kind of age. So I would say we're the third generation, and then there's a fourth generation who are like very, very new to this, who are still green, who are still unseasoned, like certain people's chicken. But I would say us in terms of like that third generation, we're that glue who kind of like links the old original grime culture with like the new school generation to keep it going. Because what you'll find is a lot of the people in that sort of that fourth new generation are kind of like, they'll use grime, they'll hop on it, and then they'll kind of like use it as almost like a stepping stone to go on to like mainstream or pop or whatever, and they'll sort of use it to just go commercial as opposed to like pushing the genre properly and like genuinely. Yeah, come on. So you can't use the genre and then kind of like just diss it after you've used it to get to where you get to. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that for me is a direct disrespect, to be honest with you. Like whether or not it's like the hottest thing, obviously the majority of the UK don't listen to grime music, but a lot of the artists that you're seeing who have like, even people like Fredo, you like, believe it or not, these guys used to do grime. Like that's how they learned how to their craft, and then they kind of ventured off to do their own thing. Same thing with H. These guys came up of spitting off of 140 BPM instrumentals like the most of us, you know. Even though they're younger, the grime should still be in their DNA, their makeup. But it's like they kind of like, once they make a little bit of money or they get a little bit of attention, they kind of forget where they came from. And I'm a person of morals, innit? Like I'm not in this thing for money or that kind of fame or whatever. For me, it's about legacy and pushing the culture forward to make sure that the next generation and the next generation, so we do get the 6th, 7th and 8th generations of grime MC, so that the genre can live on forever. Because for me, it's like it's a part of me. I grew up listening to grime. I remember going through that whole process of learning how to actually put words together, be in time with a certain beat. Like I remember the people that taught me how to spit. Like I remember all of that. So it's for when someone comes out directly and disrespects the genre of grime, I take it fairly personally.
Yeah, I respect them, because I think grime is an interesting position right now where it's almost clinging on to commercial success. In my opinion, I think with garage, I feel like it always gets the love, but I don't feel like grime gets the same love. I feel like a lot of people will still drop garage hits here and there.
Very true. Yeah.
But not many people will drop a grime hit. I feel like grime only really comes back when there's beef. Shout out to my man Chip.
Jeez! Chip's the war god. Yeah.
Yeah, listen, whenever Chip gets beef, I'm just waiting for that grime hit. I can't lie, like.
It's true. But I think you're go on.
Grime could have the same commercial impact as UK drill.
I think without grime, there wouldn't be this kind of era of UK drill. I don't think, because if you even listen to the instrumentals of drill, they're all around 137 to 145 BPM anyway. So they're all in and around the grime genre. The only difference is just the slightly, obviously, more aggressive sounds and the content, the lyrics. But any grime MC can spit over drill because it's our BPM. So I don't think without grime you wouldn't have this kind of impact with drill. And I think the way that people treat drill, or have sort of treated that genre in terms of like seeing it as a aggressive form of music, which kind of pushes boundaries and is kind of like a little bit out there, it's the same impact that grime had when it first came around. It's the same backlash it had. It's exactly the same. Like, I remember people telling me that, oh, grime is like an aggressive kind of form of music, which is like antisocial, etc. And it's just like, grime has obviously evolved and transcended into this UK drill that we see now, but it's kind of diluting itself again and becoming a bit more sort of, I don't want to call it pop drill, but that's the only thing I can think of, where they've really, the labels have obviously seen the potential to eat off of this, and they've commercialized it a lot, and taken away the raw essence, so it becomes more poppy. And I think that's like what you said earlier about the garage. When garage first came around, it's the same backlash that garage received, you know, saying that it was slightly aggressive or whatever and antisocial. And then obviously garage transcended into grime, and then you had something called sublo, which was like the bridge between garage and grime, and then you had obviously grime, and then now we've got drill. But there was that period sort of in between grime and drill where that's where people always refer to this idea that grime artists kind of either went out to America or went off and did sort of a couple commercial things and had obviously great successes, but there wasn't enough. Yeah, they made a lot of house tunes and garage tunes and what else not, and drum and bass and things like that, without releasing grime albums. But if you look now, in the last like 5 years, you've had obviously Wiley's dropped albums, you've had DWE's dropped grime album, you've had Skepta drop grime projects, you know, you've had P Money dropped quite a few EPs and stuff. So a lot of those projects, the grime projects, have come back to the forefront, where they were kind of missing for a few years, which is why you got people who don't really know much about the genre talking down about it, or going on big radio station talking about grime's dead. But that's how they came up.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's interesting that grime, the term grime, because I think, especially if you're looking now, they just assume because you rap, hey, it's grime. It's not necessarily the BPM. They don't even know that even meaning. But I think it's interesting as well when journalism from, like, you know, David Nard and stuff, like, they would say grime art is diggity. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's weird. With grime, do you feel like it hasn't been given enough time to establish itself mainstream? Because people just take and just assume that is that an issue for you as a grime artist, where people just don't seem to research what grime is?
I think the most difficult thing about being a grime artist is that people don't appreciate how skilled we are. Like, they don't appreciate like the work that goes in behind the scenes to be like a top level grime artist, like to be able to like control a crowd, to be able to do live radio sets, you know, the speed, the lyrics, the content, the delivery, the energy, everything like has to marry up, and it's like it's not easy to do that all simultaneously. Whereas a lot of other genres, it's just like it's not as much. I would say it's not as much pressure, and I think like they don't get, the artists in grime don't get the, like you said, the respect or the dues. So that's why they probably do end up hopping genres and going over to drill or going over to more pop sounds, because you get more love over there. And at the end of the day, not many people are going to be in this game for free, because it's expensive. Music industry is an expensive industry to be in, so therefore there needs to be some kind of financial reward. I know it depends on how your finances are set up. Everyone's in a different position, but I think when it comes to like push comes to shove and people think, oh, do you know what, grime's not really making me the money that I need from this, that's when you see people doing the genre hopping and sort of forgetting the roots, not looking at the bigger picture. Because some people see grime as a genre, but it's bigger than that. It's a culture. Like grime is like the way people like dress. It's a certain dress code. It's the way that we talk, you know. It's the way that we put words together. It's like the certain energy that we'll bring to a room or to an event. Like, you know, if you go to an open mic event, if there's a proper grime artist in the room, you'll feel their presence, and when they touch mic, you know, you won't forget who they were. Like, you just won't forget because of the energy that they bring to the stage and to the microphone, you know.
Sam, I would definitely say you're talking live performance in terms of making genre, in terms of hip hop, UK hip hop.
Yeah.
Grime is the most lit. Then I would say it's garage.
Yeah.
The rest is just like, and then you got bars. No one really cares about that. Like, I've got to so many open mics, and I hear the drill stuff, the straight rap stuff, and nobody fully cares. I feel like, unless they just got bars. But when it's like garage, grime, because I feel like people just love that genre, those genres anyway. It's always a vibe. Like, it's almost like you sold tickets for your own event at an open mic. You know what I mean? Like, it comes out with the most love.
The thing is, I think the difference, with grime and garage, what makes them so like powerful, especially in the UK, it's that nostalgic feel, like, and I think what you said earlier about garage getting more love than grime, I think a large part of that is, alright, they both have that nostalgic feel when you hear it, because it takes you back, especially people our kind of age range, it takes you back to a certain time when you was at school, and, you know, Bluetooth, infrared, sending over tunes to each other, that kind of essence. But I think one of the big differences with the garage and the grime is the fact that garage has got a lot more love from, I would say, the Caucasian majority in the UK, where that's kind of helped it to have more longevity, as opposed to grime having more of a foundational base in terms of like black music, in terms of having influences from the dancehall, having influences from those kind of genres, whereas the garage is more it seemed to be more accessible to the majority population in the UK, so that's why it's probably had the impact that it's had and lasted as long as it's had. Because I mean, garage started mid 90s, I'd say.
Yeah.
More.
95.
Yeah, or it might be a bit earlier, you know, because you had like that Tina Moore tune, "Never Let Me Go," and all them kind of rhythms there. I'm taking you back now. I'm not going to give you a history lesson. I don't want to show my age.
You could say the 80s, but the 80s had more like rap dance, and then it kind of...
Yeah, garage is more early 90s, I think, I'd say, and then obviously through to the early 2000s, and that's when we got the first real influx of grime artists, especially in London.
I want obviously you are young art, but before the music, before the mind, like, who is young art when he's not doing music? Like, how did you get into music? Why music?
Do you know what? I got into music through, like, from school. So when I was in like year 9, there was a workshop that we got put on. It was like a DJ workshop, and at one session you'd learn how to DJ. The next lesson you'd learn how to write your own lyrics, and it was all that. They used to push this whole positive vibe. It was called the PIE Project, PYE, Project Youth Enterprise, and it was a guy called Emmanuel who basically saw my potential, and he kind of like invested in me, and then we kind of worked quite closely together, and then he sort of mentored me, taught me what he knew, and then we sort of booked shows and we toured a little bit around London. So we did like Albany Theatre, Bromley Churchill Theatre. I did Royal Albert Hall. I did a few other quite big venues at a young age. So that's kind of how I got into it. So just literally through music teacher, networking, finding a group of people from Bromley who basically teach DJing and MCing. They do after school clubs. I go to the after school clubs. I learn. I'm obviously like the best from that group. They take me and 2 others, and we kind of do a little bit of touring. Then I kind of go to sixth form, go to university. I stopped doing music after sort of the age of 16. I don't write another lyric again or touch mic or go studio again until I'm about 23. And then it's quite a gap. So in that gap, I miss a lot of the social media stuff. I miss the rise of Instagram and all these other platforms. So I had an element of that promotion and stuff missing, but then I ended up playing catch up, and obviously I feel like I've caught back up now. Alright, I'm not a TikTok MC, that's not my thing, but bare strays, bare shots today. But I feel like I've caught back up now, and it's more of a level playing field, and I feel like I can obviously hold my own now, and I've sort of found my own sound within grime, and then I'm sort of pushing that. And then obviously outside of music, if you know me personally, you know that I'm an educator at heart, so I'm an English teacher by profession. Whether or not I'm quote unquote allowed to be a grime MC in my spare time, that's another question. That's another debate. That's for another day. We haven't got enough time to debate that one. But yeah, obviously it's a contentious argument. It's a bit conflicting, me being a teacher and a music artist as well. Because
you don't have a creative outlet now?
I don't know, these schools don't like it. But
it's just for the kids to find.
yeah, exactly that. When they're singing your chorus down the corridor, it gets awkward. It happens every year. Every year, yeah. One kid.
About that, actually, because I actually wanted to talk about you being in education. Do you ever utilize rap in education? Because I have one of my brethren, he utilizes rap while teaching English.
Okay.
So I just wanted to know if that's something that you do in school. Do you utilize any form of musical creativity within your teaching?
Alright, so obviously we'll study poetry, and I'll have kids maybe analyze maybe rap verses, but me per se, as in deliver performance wise, I wouldn't do that, because straight away that's going to bring a certain kind of attention, maybe the wrong kind of attention, to my classroom, and then it will be a matter of time before I'll get pulled in by the management, and it's that awkward conversation. So okay, original grime kid, okay. So I try to avoid blending the two. I feel like I like to keep that side private. But obviously, if people ask me, obviously, I like a majority of people in the UK have a quote unquote job, or a 9 to 5. I'm happy to speak to people about that, but in terms of me telling the kids at school or having management know that I have not a second life, but like a life outside of work, I try not to allow that to happen.
Fair enough, fair. Yeah.
Just-
I want to talk about the movement. Baby, come on, dude. You have to.
The move. This young baby. Come on. That's the tagline.
That's the hottest tagline. I'm telling you, I think I was telling Joe, whenever Joe was trained, and I was like, fam, whenever I hear the movement is young baby, I'm like, but you can't forget who you are. You get what I'm saying? It's more than a tagline. It's almost like...
It's a brand. It's
like, it's almost like when you see Yeezys, you know what it is. When I hear that little line, I know what it is. You get what I'm saying? It's
And the thing is, for me, like that's how I got my name, innit? Because it's quite a basic name in general, but it actually means like the younger movement. So I'm obviously a teacher, so I'm obviously invested into the youth of tomorrow. Yeah, so I'm always trying to like educate the next generation. I'm not just passing on knowledge in terms of like academia. I'm not just teaching you English and grammar and punctuation and paragraph, whatever. I'm also trying to bred the next generation of grime MCs. Yeah, so I'm trying to. It's that pushing of the culture. It's that pushing it down the line, so that in 50 years' time, when I'm telling my great grandkids that I was a bad boy grime MC, and I might remember half a bar that I can spit over a Da Vinci instrumental, they'll know, okay, that's where it came from, yeah, and it will just make sure that the genre just does not die. So me being young I'm the younger movement. The movement is young. I'm investing into the youth, trying to push grime further and further down the generation, so it just lives on essentially. And obviously, I'm the youngest in my friendship group at the same time, so all of my closest friends are all older than me. But I've got an old soul at heart, so that kind of makes sense. So yeah, that's where I got the name Younger Movement.
Right. Let's get into this EP, Original Practice. I've been seeing the OGK Challenge or Original Grand Kid Challenge.
Yeah.
I see man like is it Tommy Fury in them?
Yeah. Tommy Fury took part in the OGK Challenge. Yes, he did. Yeah. I couldn't give it to him though. I couldn't let him win. I think he's doing all right financially. I don't think he needs the OGK prize money, but love to Tommy Fury for showing support and that. Love for that.
Yeah, like as an artist yourself, when you are putting your music out, how does it feel when you have somebody of, you know, like the kind of celebrity calibers, you know, showing love to your music? It's not the first time, it won't be the last time as well. But just any love that you get from people that you could say are quote unquote established, whether that's in your field or in other forms of creativity or sport or whatever, how does that kind of feel when you kind of, you know, receive that sort of love?
No, it's dope, man. It's all love. But do you know what? I don't really look at people like that. I'm not one of these people that worship celebrities. I'm very like old school. Like a person is a person at the end of the day. Like if I see someone famous out, I don't get overly excited like certain people. And like, all right, you might ask for a picture and that, but more time I don't even do that. I just sort of think, put myself in their shoes. Think, how would I feel if I was them, and getting stopped for a picture all the time? I'd get a bit annoyed. You know, so I kind of like, I sort of see the human side to it, and I appreciate all the love that like people showed for this EP, and particularly that single. So whether you're Tommy Fury or Firahs, do you know what I'm saying? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's all love. It's the same. It's all the same to me. Do you know what I'm saying? It's all the same. Obviously, everyone's got different platforms, different levels of exposure, and it's nice for certain people to share your stuff. But I'm not out here begging people to share my stuff. If you hear it and you like it, then you share it. You know what I'm saying? It's more organic, it's more genuine that way. Whereas if you have to be like paying people to share this and begging people to do this, you're like, it's that will fizzle out eventually, and it's not me. I've got people in my phone book like who are like millionaires and whatever, or got big platforms, but it doesn't mean that I don't like to lean on people for favors. Like I could be one of these guys that just leans on people for favors and gets these shares here and there, but again, I'd rather you share my thing because you F with it properly. Do you know what I'm saying? Not because I've begged you to share it or asked you.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I want to start with a single that I think really did really well out of your EP, which is Grime Ain't Dead.
Jeez.
I like, you know, I like the way that you kind of jumped in on this one with like the hard lyrics. I just think it's aggressive but not too aggressive. The message as well in terms of what the conversation always is grime actually dead. I think the fact that you're in 2022 I'd be doing very old school stuff, because I feel like you can kind of tell from your music you're very influenced by the early 2000s. Right?
Yeah. Yes.
I think if anyone listens to music and tell me otherwise, I think you're not listening to music properly.
Yeah.
If you go back to 2000, you would be messing with all them boys. You'll be with the Wileys and that. You wouldn't even be I'm a good father. You know?
Yeah. I'd have been.
House as well. That's the main question. When you jumped on house.
I'd have been part of the movement with Kano and Getz and them man there.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about Grime then. How did it come about, and what made you wanna, bring that message out that Grime isn't there yet?
Do you know what it is? That obviously that interview that you talked about earlier with H and AJ Tracy.
Yeah.
Do you know what the thing is? I was more annoyed actually with AJ Tracy than I was with H, because he's a bit older. And I felt like he just allowed the young buck to kind of talk down the genre that he came up off of as well. Like, let's not forget that AJ Tracy was a grime MC to begin with. Then obviously he kind of went into this sort of trap kind of thing, and then he's obviously went fully left with the garage and pop stuff. But it's the fact that he like allowed H to kind of like disrespect grime in front of his face. He basically made him look like one little man on big radio. He basically let the little boy light him up and talk down on the genre, and he didn't say anything. He kind of just went along with it, and I was just like, hold on, are we gonna like sit here as the slightly older generation and allow it? And I didn't see no one came out and defended the genre, like not even the person who claims to be like the biggest grime artist in the country, Stormzy. He didn't come out and say anything. Like the only two people.
I know Wiley made a video.
Yes. I used obviously Wiley as part of the music video. I used part of his video where he kind of addresses the idea of people talking about grime dead, and how he used to say that about garage when he was younger, but then he realised he came up off of that kind of jungle garage. That's how he learnt to MC, and then he helped to create the grime genre. And then Lethal Bizzle came out with a video as well about addressing it, saying that H should never have come out and said that. I think he said something like, there's certain things that you shouldn't talk about, and saying that is one of them, especially if you don't know what you're talking about. You're too young to even say a statement like that. That's like me saying, I don't know, that's like me saying 80s soul is dead, when actually at one point that was probably the biggest genre in the world. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, or saying, it's like being like a 15-year-old saying, slow jams is boring, is dead, but these times there's a time and place for slow jams, if you know what I'm saying. He's not gonna understand that idea about setting the mood and whatever not. So it's futile for a young MC to come up and say things like Grime's dead. It's ridiculous. It doesn't make any. There's no logic. It's just because your generation don't mess with it hard or appreciate the skill or talent involved in it doesn't mean it's necessarily dead. It just means at that time it's just not pop. Yeah, it's not that it's dead. It's just not pop or it's not commercial. And do you know what the thing is? I wouldn't want Grime to be overly commercial anyway, because then it would be diluted and lose its overall essence. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, actually, sometimes things are best left untouched. Like, would you want to see jollof rice and a goosey soup in McDonald's?
Nah.
Okay, so you understand what I'm saying now.
Nah, it's true. I want to talk about obviously with this EP as well, which up to the 29th of July. I'm available everywhere, by the way, guys. So when you're locked in, I'm sure you go and stream that thing, Spotify, Apple Music, all them joints, wherever you get your music, wherever you do the pause, I don't mean do it, but you do things. On the actual EP, it's semi-autumn.
You like that one? That's your tune.
Kind of like the fun feel, just the vibe. For me, it's like semi-autumn just gives me that sing-along vibe.
Yeah, that's the perfect warm up. Yeah, it's that sing-along vibe, but it's the perfect like short radio tune. It's under 2 minutes and it's like punchy.
Yeah, I think you can probably tell that I'm like a commercial type of listener.
Yeah, so what we did.
My favourite song just happens to be that type of vibe. But semi-autumn is lit. When I was playing it around the family and that, from when my mum goes, who's that? I'm like, cool, you got hit.
Yeah, that one did pretty well, to be fair, and it got onto quite a few playlists. So it got onto like one of the big Grime playlists a few months ago, which was pretty cool. And yeah, that tune, the idea of it was to kind of have, yeah, like you said, a little slight dabble in that half commercial feel. Similarly, Grime Ain't Dead. It's that kind of, it's got the raw Grime essence in it, but again, it's got the playful twist as well to kind of make it radio friendly, to make it a bit more listener friendly, as opposed to just having man who are like 30 plus listening to the music. I want everyone to listen to the music. It's not just, I don't want to just target one specific audience. You want like majority of people to listen to the music, because you want you never know who you're going to influence. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that's a testament to your EP, because I generally believe the EP covers all aspects of listeners.
Yeah.
I think you have like the hardcore Grime fans that want the super hard Grime, but you got the uplifting mixer.
Jeez.
Perfect tune for the mangas that just wants to hear bars.
Hey, if you put that one in the whip, you might crash still. It might have an adverse effect on your driving. That one, that production's naughty.
Yeah, it's rude, man. It's rude. No naughty boy, no. It's rude.
He's mad.
I'm really trying with that one, isn't it?
Yeah, no, the hold tight Riz on production.
When it comes to Grime, would that be the only genre that you would ever stick to within music? Do you see yourself? Because obviously, I know you consider the dub and dancehall.
Yeah.
But I know you don't do dancehall.
No.
I haven't specifically heard you do a lot of dancehall like that. But I know you can.
There is a plan to kind of.
Different sounds that you're jumping to.
Yeah, eventually, like, obviously the essence is always going to be Grime, and my thing is, when you do like go to a different genre, are you still you? Like, are you still you, or have you just literally just sold out and made what the label wants you to make, or made what you know is gonna resonate with a certain demographic? Like, for me, like, if I'm gonna go to dancehall, I need to have the grime element in there. So on a dancehall tune, I'm still gonna rap as if I'm a grime artist, and obviously fling in the patois vibe, like in and around it, but not like fully go the whole distance, if that makes sense. So wherever I go, I need to put the grime spin on it. So even if I'd slow it down and rap like you hear with Epiphany, I want someone to hear Epiphany and know, boy, even though he's talking about something deep like father absence and the BPM is obviously slower, I can still tell he's got that kind of grime MC element to him. You know, even if, whether I go on a more Afro swing, whatever they want to call it now, Afro pop, whatever, if I do that, I still want to have like my grime essence and DNA on that track, so that they never question whether or not I'm a grime MC. There's no point me like saying that. I can't say that I'm a grime MC and then just go over to dancehall and that be it. That makes no sense. Like, I feel like you have to, like, that's your, if grime's my base, wherever I go, I'm bringing that with me, like, and that's going to be the majority of it. So if the tune is a dancehall tune, I need to at least be 50% grime. Do you know what I'm saying? At least, because that's who I am. Otherwise, I'm basically just, I'm washed. I'm done.
It's true. Actually, no, I can respect that. So I think what you're saying is true, because I think a lot of artists today don't really know who they are. So
I think
you'll hear like 6-7 songs and they sound different on all 7 of them again. And it's like, what are you trying to be, man?
Yeah, there's no defined sound. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so I do think that's a testament to you're establishing yourself as a grime artist, but if you dibble and dabble, you're still bringing that grime element to whichever genre you touch. Okay, I think that makes perfect good sense, because then at least we know who you are as an artist as well. And even if you do decide to jump on something that is either out of your comfort zone or just something a little bit different, you are still young art.
100%.
You don't sound like a sellout as such, as people like to say nowadays. Which I think is really good. What do you want to come out of this EP? So, obviously, you dropped your, I think it was, you dropped the EP a while ago.
Oh, you're talking the first one, The Movement Is Young EP?
Yeah, it was called The Movement Is Young. That was the debut EP.
Yeah, so that was basically me kind of like dipping my toes in the water, getting back into music, kind of getting a feel for the industry again. Sort of like I would say it was like a learning process, that for me. Working out what my sound was, seeing what I kind of enjoyed, what I didn't like doing. Kind of, we was getting around the side of the whole videography concept, like everything. Like, it was just a whole learning process that was for me and the team. So then obviously we learnt from that, and then we thought, do you know what, my actual sound is grime, so that's what we're pushing. Like, there's no point me trying to be like someone who I'm not, because it will just fizzle out. So, but me being true to myself has obviously worked out in the long run, and it's kind of got me places where I wanted to be, and rooms that I needed to be in, events that I've needed to be at, stages that I've needed to be on. So like that's what we're kind of like most proud of, I would say, is like being ourselves.
Yeah, because I think from that debut EP that you festival as well, was it called Festival?
What, M's Festival?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did Edge Festival, that was dope.
You performed in, was it Croydon as well?
Yeah, that was in Lloyd's Park.
Yeah, because that's the one that we had. I think Epiphany was on there, Know About Me.
Yeah.
My research.
Yeah.
Never Be.
Purpose, I think, was on there as well.
Yeah. You man done your research, I respect it.
Come on, man.
You're trying to play it down. You're trying to play it down.
Also in there for as well. Yeah. We're part of the history too.
No. Do you know what? Joe did about 3. I think Joe done 3 videos on that project.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Yeah, no, and you did Sound of My Pen as well. That was dope.
Sound of My Pen. Joe shot the video with it.
Joe shot that one. Yeah.
That was when I first got my Panasonic that does 4K.
Jeez.
That was the first one.
We say we use Joe as an apprentice. He's on that apprenticeship. He's on that apprenticeship wage. You know the ones. You know the ones when you just tell them you're just gonna learn as you earn. We're gonna pay you an exposure.
Hey, but you never gave me my tech level 3 though. My MBQ certificate. What is it?
Hey, you had a joke. That was just funny, though. You made that all.
Nah,
Oh
man.
yeah, it's fun. Yeah.
One thing I found really interesting about the movie this young original Grime Kid is the growth. I think original Grime Kid really tells me who you are.
Yeah, that was the idea.
The movement is young. I believe was more experimental, like you mentioned with Epiphany. Obviously, I think you had a freestyle on there as well. Is it called Savage?
Yeah. That was like a dancehall. Yeah.
Which again is you basically telling us that you got bars and so it's almost the same. But I thought original Grime Kid just said, okay, cool, listen, this is who I am. This is what I'm about. What do you want the audiences to come away from when they listen to original Grime Kid?
I kind of want that half nostalgic feeling and half, oh wow, like grime is that powerful that it's like lasted this long, and this guy can literally bring me. He's got this unique ability to bring me back to when I was a certain age, and hearing those kind of tunes, and also kind of helps me to understand why the new genre or the new generation is kind of the way it is. So it's kind of like, if I can use it as a linchpin to kind of bridge that gap between the old and the new, then I've done my job, I feel.
Yeah, okay, I like that. I want everybody to go and check out, Young Art, Big Boy in the Game, bars and bars and bars.
Yes, sir.
I just think Young Art is definitely, if we're going to be talking lyrics in the UK scene, in 10-15 years' time, we will be talking about Young Art and one of the best lyricists in our generation with bars. Because if not, I don't feel like there's enough people who, first of all, tackle grime the way you do, and it's authentic enough to celebrate what the genre is. I think people dribble and dab, or you'll get like an artist nowadays be like, yeah, let me put Wiley on a tune, but they're not doing grime with Wiley to get
Yeah.
You got Wiley singing nowadays. Like,
Nah, I appreciate I appreciate that. That's big praise, man. That means a lot. Thank you, bro.
Nah, I appreciate that, man. Obviously, I know we gotta get what's it called, Young Art on the mic now, just spray some bars, everybody stay locked in for that.